update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio traffic update.
Do you want to represent your city? This year, you can. Seattle residents who are interested in running for office in 2021 can use democracy vouchers to fund their campaigns for the positions of mayor, city council, and city attorney. The city of Seattle offers one-on-one training for candidates at any stage. Learn more about how to run for office by visiting seattle.gov/democracy voucher or by calling 206-727-8855.
Sergio LaCour's Love Lines is on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. Thursday nights at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific. Music and dedications for the grown and sexy.
This is your Rainier Avenue Radio.world community update on online Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. If you're looking for an AA meeting, find one every day online at aaphonemeetings.org. That's aaphonemeetings.org.
This is Brenda Charles Edwards, host of Seniors Matter. Join me every week to get information on activities and issues that impact the lives of older adults and their families. That's Seniors Matter every week on Rainier Avenue Radio.
This week's Rainier Avenue Radio Metro League Student Athlete of the Week is Jayla Alderson.
Brings the ball into Alderson, gets away, but gets it back, drives to the hoop, makes it all the way to Alderson. Split the defenders, man, and gets the bucket. And Alderson comes back, knocks the ball away.
Jayla is a sophomore guard for Garfield's Lady Bulldog basketball team, and her defensive presence and hustle was crucial to the Lady Bulldogs' victory over Eastside Catholic.
Oh, they're playing ads right now.
Congratulations to this week's Rainier Avenue Radio Metro League Student Athlete of the Week, Garfield Basketball's Lady Bulldog sophomore Jayla Alderson.
This is Paul Pearson, host of Star Time. And when I'm not stopping at Mercer Island Street Hall, I'm listening to Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Been around for a long, long.
Tuning in to Queen Bree's Living on Rainier Avenue Radio. I am Robyn T here with Queen Brie. We're coming to you live from Rainier Avenue Radio.world. We are broadcasting from Seattle, Washington, also known as, this land is unceded Duwamish territory. The Duwamish are to help them out. There's a petition you can sign at duwamishtribe.org. You can also pay respects to the land and the people at realrentduwamish.org. And I think Queen Brie is here to say hello. Hi.
Hi. Oh my God, technical difficulties. It's your girl, Queen Brie. How's it going? So our announcements today for Rainier Avenue Radio is our basketball games Friday night between Rainier Beach and Garfield, with the girls starting at 5:45 p.m. and the boys starting at 7:30 p.m. So check it out on Rainier Avenue Radio, 5:45 for the girls and 7:30 for the boys. So I'm so excited to talk today. Our guest, Dr. Jeffrey, you can go ahead and bring him on. We're going to be talking about health today. But before, we're going to talk about Black history. So remember when we had Lanisha on from the African American Black History Museum, she talked about getting to know your history. And so I did that. And I wanted to talk about my grandmother, Louise Jeffrey. She was born March 27th, 1930, and she passed away December 26th, 1989. What I remember from my grandmother, she was a wife and a mother of a pastor. She has 16 kids, Lord, 16 kids, 14 boys, 2 girls. I don't know how this woman did it. 14 boys, 2 girls. She eventually went back to start working on getting her education in sociology. She had just graduated with her associate's degree, but she passed that December. She is my strength, my rock. She took care of me when I was younger. She babysat me. I learned a lot from her. I learned how to give back to people, be there for people. And she also taught me to, just watching her taught me to make sure that I keep on track of my health, because she didn't have the best health. She did suffer from diabetes, and I think she did pass away from a stroke. She passed away when I was younger, so I'm not sure if it was a stroke or not, but she did pass away. She is the rock in our family. I mean, she took care of, I only have 2 boys, and I feel like I have 10, and she have 14. So Dr. Jeffrey, do you want to speak on Louise Simmons?
Yeah, that's my mother. Yeah, she was a great lady.
That's me, her, and my mother.
Yeah, I miss her every day. She went to school after she went back to school after all of the children were all of us had left the house, maybe with the exception of a few, maybe a couple, and got her BA degree. And she became an assistant teacher in the public school system before she died. She was a tremendous person.
The fact that she raised 16 kids and then still have time to show me love and my cousin love and the whole neighborhood love. And she was the first lady of a church, so she was there for her husband.
Yeah.
She was a tremendous woman. So we
No,
salute Louise.
Yeah, I salute her every day of my life. I mean, she was very important to me, and I grieved for the longest after she died. But yeah, she was an outstanding Black woman.
Yes.
And many Black women, they don't get recognized. They're heroes and heroines, but they don't ever get recognition. But she was one of those people who helped the entire community. She wanted to help everybody. So, yeah.
And she didn't come from a rich background either, but she was rich at heart. And one of the things my mom always told me, she taught her, just because you're poor doesn't mean you have to look poor. Doesn't mean you have to act poor. So she always carried her head high. And she taught that to her daughters, and she taught that through all of us, and her sons. We all walk with our heads held high, and we are here in service, but we're humble.
Yeah. Well, some of us.
I am.
Well, I am. We won't talk about the rest.
Right. We're the perfect ones in her. We were the apples of her eyes.
Yeah, they're not here to speak for themselves.
Exactly.
Too bad.
And if my cousins are listening, I was the favorite grandchild, even though she probably has like over 50 grandkids, more than that probably.
Well, I think my oldest brother was her favorite son. I don't think Charles. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So when we were coming up with the show notes, it was so funny because as soon as we were done, we got off, and later on we looked on social media and we saw Will Smith is on the same wave we're on about getting healthy. He posted a video that he is at the worst shape of his life. And this is something we wanted to talk about. So he posted this picture. He is at the worst shape of his life.
Well, he's got a lot of guts.
Right. Well, he does, and he's a superstar. We ain't gonna get on here posing crazy.
No.
We are not at the best shape, and we wanted to talk about getting healthy and what does that look like for us.
Yeah.
Will Smith in Hollywood. So a lot of other Hollywood men caught on, and now they're gonna do a challenge. I guess they're doing a 12-week challenge, and they'll check back in with each other. I think I'm going to hop on slightly and just do a 12-week check-in. Okay.
So what does that look like? What does that mean?
So for me, because we had just went over our show notes, we're going to talk about getting healthy. We're talking about eating right. For me, I downloaded the Daniel plan. Before I go into that download, what actually helped me to get, because it's about your mental. It is about your mental. And Dr. Jeffrey did write a book, 11 Principles to Living.
Yeah.
And he mentioned about staying healthy. And what I took from that book is making sure, because when you're healthy, you're clear mind.
Yeah.
You're healthy, you can do more because you're taking care of yourself, you feel better, you sleep better, all around good health. So that was my first start, ladies and gentlemen. This is not just, I'm not just hyping him up because I know him. This book is really good.
I appreciate the mention.
But I did download a while back the Daniel Plan.
Okay.
And in the Daniel Plan, it breaks down. It's like there's a Daniel Plan 40-day book, there's a Jumpstart, and then there's a lesson plan. Because in the Daniel Plan, it says there are 5 things to fitness. Can you see my finger? There is the fitness, the focus, friends, family. Friends, faith, and food.
Okay.
And so with the Daniel Plan, it talks to you. It starts with your mental. You need friends to help you keep focused. You need people with your, hey, Deontay. You need people with like, he said, that's my pastor. And I see Richard Thorne. Hey, Reverend Thorne. He said, God bless. Thank you. So the Daniel Plan gets with your mind. They talk about how your health is your mental. So it talks about the health and having people with like-minded around you. Because if you have other people with you, you'll make better decisions.
Yeah.
And then it gives you tips on food and how to change your food. It gives you 2 different options because the Daniel Plan is, it comes from the Daniel in the Bible.
Yeah.
But the Daniel in the Bible only ate vegetables. This one also applies it to real life. So you have clean eating, and then you can have the just eating vegetables. So it gives you different options on what to eat.
Yeah,
so,
I think it's key to be with like-minded people too, because your friends have a lot of a lot of influence on you. So it's like-minded people will help you through trying to get yourself in good health.
Yeah.
And
then
I think that's what it's all about anyway. Having like-minded people, not necessarily people who agree with everything you say, but people who are in tune with the same kinds of consciousness that you're in tune with. Yeah.
And we'll check you, like not check you in a bad way, but like, didn't you say, I don't think that this would be the best to eat. Maybe try this.
Absolutely.
Or this is what worked for me. Why don't you try that?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm going to try to focus on that. And it's like this, it's a one day at a time. So the Jumpstart takes you one day at a time and shows you what books to read. So that's what I plan to do. And then I'm going to check back in with myself in 12 weeks.
All right. Okay. Well, we're going to hold you responsible. We're going to hold you accountable.
See, this is why I said it on here, because I knew you guys would.
Yeah, we're going to hold you accountable. I'm going to be coming on. Double checking. It's about clearing your mind. It's about thinking positively about life. It's not about necessarily your appearance. It's about your ability to be active, your ability to be conscious about what's going on around you. And bad health prevents that kind of consciousness, and eating the wrong foods prevent that kind of consciousness. So, we're not getting into body shaming or anything like that. It's not about that. It's about living your best life, being your best, and
being healthy.
And being healthy, yeah.
People always think being healthy means skinny. No, being healthy
means means eating right foods, being able to be your best and do your best every day, without having days when you because of what your body shape your body's in, you can't be your best, and you can't function in the best way that you should be able to function.
Right,
So
and you sleep better.
You sleep better when you're healthy. Yeah.
Robyn, what are your plans? Do you have any tips on, not for me, but for everybody? Well, for me too.
I feel like I need this a lot right now. I hope you all can hear me. I heard my mic's a little down, but I really resonated with what Will Smith was feeling and going through, and that's why we were talking about it, I think. So I'm loving that we all get to talk about this too, because it just seems like a little bit of a slog, like, oh, I have to keep working on it, and some days I'm really into the idea of eating really healthy and other days I'm not. So that's why I really like the friend part of that Daniel plan that you opened my eyes to. And I am curious about the faith part while we have Dr. Jeffrey here, right?
Okay.
I've been working on habits and I've been reading some books about like the power of habit and atomic
Okay.
habits and how our brains work and how to set yourself up a little bit better for success. And Brian, my friend, Queen Brie, reminds me to drink more water. So I'm like, I'm going to add that in. And I really do agree with you that I can be showing up for my purpose in life if I feel better, So it's
Yeah.
more that at this stage of my life than it is about how I look, It's about like, I want to have energy to sustain and show up for the things I want to show up for. But I am curious about what you would say is that faith part of that.
Well, for me, in terms of faith, the primary principle of the Bible is that the body is a temple, in that it is designed for a purpose, and that it is that design was created by God, and that the body itself is a temple, not the building that we go to, but the body itself is the temple, and that we should appreciate the body as a temple, and we should appreciate it as a vessel to do and to act out positive things in this world. That it's the only vessel we really have that has been given to us, and that we should use it. And the only way we can use it is to respect it as a gift from God, and to view it as a temple. And when you view your body as a temple, then there's certain things you respect about your body, and certain things you look at about when you start thinking about what you put in your body or what you do to your body, when you see it as a temple. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's sort of a faith understanding of the body. Yeah.
It seems to be so easy to not treat my body like a temple sometimes, though, like when I like eat.
Yeah, for all of us struggle with that. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's fine. I was going to let you guys finish. And I like that you said that when we had Zeke on, he talked about that as well. Like when we talk about fitness, most people think it's about your outer appearance, but he kept focusing on taking care of the inner part of yourself. And that's what we're talking about when we mean
fitness is about wholeness. It's about being whole, not and having your body, your mind in sync with each other, and being whole, and your consciousness being in sync with everything in sync, everything in harmony. It's about harmony. It's about wholeness, creating wholeness. And for example, if you're talking about one thing in your body, in your routine, your habits, you're just exhibiting something else that's not consistency, that's not wholeness. And many of us don't live whole lives. We sort of compartmentalize our existence, and we don't see the interrelationship of everything. What we say, what we eat, how we live, what we do, everything is interrelated. And if we are compartmentalizing things, and one thing doesn't fit, then our whole that affects our consciousness. That affects the way we think about ourselves, and we judge ourselves more harshly than anybody else. And when we're not creating that wholeness, that sense of wholeness, that reality of wholeness, then that self-judgment, that self-recrimination becomes a part of our consciousness, and we're not able to perform in the way that we want to perform. When I say perform, I mean live our best lives, do what and create and be productive in the way that we want to be productive and create. So it's about wholeness. And a part of that wholeness is eating healthy. I mean, you wouldn't cross the street against the light. You know,
some do, but it's not a good idea.
Consciously, because you're afraid of getting hit. So the same kind of consciousness should relate to what we put in our bodies, because some things we know are going to destroy certain elements of our body, and that's like crossing the street against the light. I mean, but so that kind of consistency has to be complete, and that creates the wholeness of our existence. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
No, it makes perfect sense. And I was going to say, this is what I love about you as a minister, is that you put the whole living of life into what you're talking about, where most ministers just focus on the faith. You talk about everything, because it all is in the same thing, like with your body being a temple. When most people go to church, they're not talking about the body being a temple. They're just talking about, don't do this, don't do that. But I love that you added that in the book, because it is important.
Well, people compartmentalize reality so that they don't have to be responsible. So they can say one thing and over here, but that doesn't relate to this over here. You know? Yeah. So that decreases my level of being that decreases my sense or my need to be responsible, because I'm not bringing everything together. I'm separating everything and compartmentalizing stuff. And so it doesn't have to make sense.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing behind racism. It's about compartmentalizing things. And you know, I can go to church on Sunday and talk about God created all men, and then come out the next day and call somebody a racial slur, because I have compartmentalized it. This one thing over here doesn't have anything to do with this over here. And that's what makes us, that also causes us to create bad habits, because you have to have bad habits to protect that compartmentalization. You have to, so you have to have something to keep you going. Those bad habits sort of, help us to be able to keep going and to not worry about the fact that our lives are not making sense. What we're saying over here doesn't make sense with what we're doing over here.
Yeah.
And so, but I think that, so it all starts with understanding that the body is a temple, and that everything that comes from the body has to be related to that understanding, our self-worth and all of that. And if somebody comes against us, it is not our fault, because they have defiled, or they're hurting us in some way and defaming what is a temple of God. We have to understand that that's something that we don't have to be. We can come out of by just rejecting what happened and moving forward to maintain our lives going forward, because we see ourselves as a temple, not as a trash basket, not as somebody could come into church and act a fool, but when we put them out, it's still a church. The building, the church is not redefined because somebody came in there and acted a fool. We don't have to redefine the building and redefine the purposes of the building because somebody was crazy. We just get the craziness out, and then the building is what the purposes of the building is still the same.
Nice.
That analogy is blowing my mind in the best way, because that's the thing is, I made a pledge to myself a few years ago that I would make sure I had other people treat me with respect in relationships and things like that. And then I realized I was not treating myself with respect with the way I was eating sometimes,
So,
but I'm still worthy of like doing the best to myself, like with that analogy. And it's just kind of like becoming like a daily practice now. Okay.
Yeah, we can't redefine ourselves because of what's going on. We can't constantly keep redefining ourselves.
If you guys are, sorry.
Because we have one definition of ourselves, and everything that's inconsistent with that definition, we sort of say, okay, that happened. Because we go through life, you can't, the bad thing's going to happen. That happened, but that doesn't change that this is a temple. That doesn't change the purposes for my life. Too bad that happened, but that doesn't change anything. I just have to get rid of that and move on.
If you're just tuning in, you are tuning into Clean Greens Living Live on Rainier Avenue Radio. And we are, Robyn T. and Dr. Jeffrey are talking about health and your body being a temple. And he just left at, I don't want to say it wrong, but you basically were saying that people want to throw away. Sorry, can you just repeat yourself and then we'll go in? Because I don't want to say it wrong.
What I was saying is that we are who we are. And we can't redefine ourselves by what happens to us. We have to understand that we are a temple. Our bodies are temples, and we have to treat it like that. And there are situations and circumstances that come, like I was giving the illustration that, like a church building, the purposes of it is to uplift people, that there are times that things happen in that building that are not uplifting, but that does not mean that the purpose of that building is not to uplift. And the whole problem is we start redefining ourselves because of what's going on. And that affects, for example, even if you're eating right and you start eating wrong, then you redefine yourself as a failure. You redefine yourself as this. You redefine yourself as something else, rather than understanding that things happen in a building whose purpose is for one thing, other things happen. But that does not redefine the purpose of the building. You can't take it. You can't just burn the whole building down just because something bad happened. I mean, it happened, but the purposes remain the same. The purposes never change. Who you are and the value of who you are never changes, regardless of what happens in that building. For example, the church we had burned down, but we built another one on that same spot. The purposes never change. Just because tragedy enters. I don't know if that's making sense, but those are the things that keep us from being consistent.
No, it makes perfect sense. It's basically, it's never too late which is a chapter in his book. I'm sorry. It's a good book, y'all. I'm sorry. I have to plug it. He did not ask us to plug it. The book is just really good. Here, Daniel tried to hold it up. The book is really good. And if there's a chapter in the book that says, it's never too late, but it's literally never too late to turn things around. And you can turn your health around. We're winding down on time. So maybe if we all, and we'll start with you, Dr. Jeffrey, maybe give 2 tips that they can do to start turning it around. I love how you said, you're basically saying just because you made a mistake doesn't mean you throw your whole body away. You throw the whole notion of being healthy away. You just keep going. So can you give us?
One of the things I would say, don't define yourself by what's going on around you or even by what you're doing. Your definition for yourself has to transcend everything that is. It has to be fixed. I am a temple. That's fixed. That's a fixed definition. You don't want to use that definition. You could say, I'm a person. I'm a human being. As a Christian, I would say I'm a child of God. I am a temple. My body is a temple. So yeah, that stuff is happening. Yeah, that stuff did go on, but my body's a temple, and I can still correct that, and I can still deal with that negativity or whatever that is. So always have a fixed definition of who you are. Don't let other people define that, and don't let situations define that. And the second is that always understand. I think that it is never too late. It's never too late for the advent of something special to happen in your life. I mean, it's never.
Sorry,
really.
Dr. Jeffrey, I hate to cut you off, but we have to wrap it up. But it's never too late, and don't define yourself by what you're done, right? Next up is Traffic Jam. Thank you always for joining us, Dr. Jeffrey.
That's all right.
You can find 11 Principles for Living on Amazon. Check it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Rainier Avenue Radio.